Welcome to Sports Talk with RKJ. I'm your host, Steve Risser, with my hosts, Justin and Kyle Galuli. And we have a ton of NFL news to talk about. The deadline for franchise tags in the National Football League was Tuesday, and 6 players were franchised. DeMarcus Lawrence of the Cowboys, Jadeveon Clowney of the Texans, D Ford of the Chiefs, Frank Clark of the Seahawks, Robbie Gould of the Bears. So a ton of players were franchised. There's one more guy. Let me just. One more guy was franchised. That was Grady Jarrett of the Atlanta Falcons. So we had 6 guys franchised and a couple notable free agents: Earl Thomas and Eric Weddle, and Landon Collins, C.J. Mosley getting franchised, and Trey Flowers. So it's very, very interesting. We'll start with some of the guys who got franchised, and we'll start with DeMarcus Lawrence of the Dallas Cowboys. You look at him, I mean, he's going to be making $20 million this year. You don't know if he's going to end up getting a long-term deal, because if you look at the Cowboys, I mean, they still have to pay Amari Cooper, they still have to pay Ezekiel Elliott, they still have to pay Dak Prescott. He's going to want a long-term deal, and I don't think he's going to play under the franchise tag for the second year in a row. It's going to be very interesting what happens down in Dallas.
Yeah, well, this thing here, $20 million isn't bad. That's why, I figured he should probably play through it. That's so nice. But I see why with the long term. You want that stability at a team. But we'll see what happens. He's a good defensive player, and I guess it's for the Cowboys, it's a good move to have one of your best pass rushers back. So.
Yeah,
it always helps.
I mean, the defense was kind of the key to that team last year. I mean, the offense was, it was good, but it wasn't like you didn't fear that offense. But they got to, like you said, pay Cooper, Dak, Zeke. The offensive line, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they paid Tyron Smith. I'm pretty sure they already paid Zach Martin. I don't know about Travis Frederick, but if he hasn't, he's gonna want a good chunk of change. So you're not going to have, there's obviously you got to stay under the cap, but you got to figure out what you got to do, but you got to keep DeMarcus Lawrence, because that's one of the major things you need is in the trenches. You need offensive line, you need defensive line. Now, other than that, who do they have? They obviously, Randy Gregory got in trouble again, so he, very well might not be back ever in the NFL. Mm-hmm. David Irving got in trouble, so you don't know what's going on with him. DeMarcus Lawrence is an absolute stud pass rusher. You need to give him, because the key for the Cowboys is going to be if can that defense, duplicate what they did last year. And without DeMarcus Lawrence, they ain't duplicating it.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Definitely not. So another player who got franchised was Jadeveon Clowney, who was a really, really good run stopper, but he hasn't had more than 10 sacks in a season, so there's definitely a reason he's been franchised. But you look on the flip side of it, he can get pressure on the quarterback, he can stop the run well. So eventually I think the Texans are going to come up with a long-term deal, but they're also going to have to pay Deshaun Watson a lot of money in the future. So it's going to, and they have to improve that offensive line. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Texans.
Yeah, well, and him and Watt, it's like I think that's like the top defensive end duo in the league. And one of the things is he hasn't been why I don't think he's gotten more than 10 sacks. He hasn't been healthy. It seems like every year he's out for a couple of weeks with some injury. So if he can get healthy, I think he definitely get 10 sacks. But him and Watt, playing 16 games a year plus, if they get the playoffs, that's pretty scary if you're quarterback. I haven't seen those two off the edge.
Well, I feel like the main problem that Clowney has is obviously we all know he's uber talented. There's no debate in that. It's just I think he just needs to learn technique. He needs to learn technique, because he just focuses and just tries to use his natural God-given ability, which is good. It goes to an extent, but if you paired that with great technique, just imagine what that dude would be able to do. That dude would be, probably 15 plus sacks, easy. And I just do not see why, he can't do that. He should be able to do that, easy with without an issue. But could you imagine a Clowney with amazing technique plus J.J. Watt? Like you said, that's probably one of the best pass rushing duos in the league. And then with that, there'd be no stopping them. But they need to sign that guy ASAP, because the guy obviously is talented and he was the number 1 pick. You don't let a talented number 1 pick that's produced walk. That's just not smart.
Absolutely not. No way you can do that. I mean, that would not be smart at all if the Houston Texans did that. So we have another player who was also franchised, and that's Frank Clark at the Seattle Seahawks, who had a career high 13 sacks this year. The guy can get pressure on the quarterback. The Seahawks are choosing to give him the franchise tag over Earl Thomas, which makes sense because Earl Thomas has had 2 injuries the last 2 years. So I mean, 2 injuries 2 of the last 3 years. So Seattle is going to give the franchise tag to Frank Clark, and I think they're going to come up with a long-term deal for Frank Clark.
Yeah, I think they will, because right now they just have Wilson. Right now, I think the only other guy on that team that you really have to pay. So yeah, I think they will, and he really had a breakout year and kept that that leader right there. I'm trying to leader right there on defense for the Seahawks last year, which wasn't horrible. We've seen him be better, but I know missing Earl Thomas hurts.
I mean, yeah, because would that really only be their main noticeable pass rusher? I mean, like you said, they got to pay. They don't really have to pay anyone like insane money. Other than Russell will get like a little chunk of change, but I mean, you got to sign him because he, like you said, had the breakout year. And I would say if you're thinking the Seahawks or you're thinking as the Seahawks, he's going to get better. I mean, pay the man.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a really good player. He was drafted in 2015 out of Michigan. He had 13 sacks last year. I mean, I would be very surprised if Seattle didn't end up paying Frank Clark. The Falcons franchise Grady Jarrett. He had a career high 6 sacks, but he's really good against the run, and he can get pressure on the quarterback. Really, really valuable player in that Atlanta defense. And we didn't play for 2 games this year. They really missed him. Grady Jarrett is one of the best players on that defense with Deion Jones, with Vic Beasley. Grady Jarrett's one of the best players on that defense, and it made sense to give him the franchise tag.
Yeah, it did. And they had a lot of injuries, so we know they pretty much struggled all year. But one of their better pass rushers is what you said. One of the better guys against stopping the run. So yeah, it's a good move for Atlanta. So yeah, another move that I like. But yeah, hopefully this year you can play all 16 for him, and hopefully Atlanta can get better.
Yeah, I mean, if he can, the main thing I feel like you want a DT to do is stop the run. Obviously, you can do that with the best of them, and then he gives you the additional pass rush. I mean, inside pressure is the hardest thing to get away from, because with outside pass rush, you can kind of, step up by an extra maybe second or two. Inside pass rush, I mean, there's no stopping it. So, I mean, again, pay the man. I mean, you got to pay the man, because, I mean, like 6 sacks. You saw in the year when they went to the Super Bowl. I mean, he was one of the key parts of that defense, along with Deion Jones. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't pay the man, because in order for it to be like your defense to be key, you got to have some kind of pass rush, and I think he's only like one of the main like consistent pass rush and run stoppers that's on that D-line linebacker. So man, pay the man.
Definitely. So we got not Earl Thomas. D Ford, who just got the franchise tag and will probably be traded by the Kansas City Chiefs. Though I mean, I think that, they want to give Tyreek Hill a long-term deal. They want to give Patrick Mahomes a long-term deal, and they don't have a lot of cap space at all. So they're really looking to probably trade D Ford, which could definitely be a mistake, seeing the season that he had this year with 13 sacks.
Yeah, definitely, and they really need help defensively. Houston, pretty much their best 2 defensive guys last year, and it was not great. So. So I think you really do need to bring him back, but I do understand the cap space and all that, and you want to pay Hill, who's one of the top wide receivers right now, and Mahomes, who we've seen what he did in his first year under Andy Reid. So I know I didn't trade him, but it's being their best defensive player, pretty bad defense.
Chris Jones, I thought, was their best defensive player last year. He had 14.5 sacks.
Yeah, and then I also saw Justin Houston. So, we'll find out. But
I mean, they were right up there with one of the top teams in terms of sacks, and obviously Justin Houston ain't going to be there. I mean, I feel like I understand you got to pay Tyreek Hill, obviously. You got to pay Patrick Mahomes, definitely. But I mean, you got to have some kind of pass rusher. I mean, actually, you have Chris Jones. He's definitely good. But to me, you got to keep D Ford unless someone gives you some insane offer. Which, I mean, if someone offers you something insane, take it. But I don't know. You got to keep that guy because again, pass rusher. That was the only great thing of that Chiefs defense. I mean, they couldn't stop a run. They couldn't stop. If they didn't sack it, the secondary would look like Swiss cheese. So I mean, to me, you again pay that man.
Yeah.
Yes, and now we'll go on to a big story, which could happen tomorrow. Antonio Brown could be traded tomorrow, and the teams that are the most interested are the Raiders, the Redskins, and the Titans. And all three have a lot of cap space, and all three need weapons. Mm-hmm. And yes, Antonio Brown was an issue in the locker room, but Antonio Brown could definitely help any of these three teams, especially their quarterbacks. The Redskins, you don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. You have the Titans with Mariota in a contract year he's playing out his fifth-year option, and then you got the Raiders with Derek Carr, who lost Amari Cooper last year, so they're definitely looking for a weapon. So it's going to be, one of those three teams would be in huge need for Antonio Brown, and I think that what the team that's probably going to get him, I think it's going to be the Raiders. I've heard rumors the Raiders are in on Kyler Murray, they're in on Antonio Brown, and I hear they're in on Le'Veon Bell. So I think he goes to the Raiders, but each place would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm actually with the Raiders too because I feel like they have the draft picks to give away, to having 3 this year. They have the cap space getting rid of Cooper. They want Bell, so it'd be a little interesting how him and Gruden go together. Gruden's we've seen what happened with Khalil Mack last summer, so it could be a little interesting to see how that pans out. But they get Le'Veon too. I don't know how much cap space they have. They may not be able to get Le'Veon after, but that would really help Derek Carr. They don't really have much. Jordan Nelson but didn't really do much at all this year. Jared Cook had a couple good games. That was really about it for weapons for him.
If I'm the Raiders, I would try to trade for him. They ain't touching that 4th pick. That ain't happening for him. But definitely one of the other later first rounds, I would definitely do. But like you said, with John Gruden and him, I don't know how it mixed because the last diva wide receiver he had was in Tampa was Keyshawn, and that did not work out. They won a Super Bowl, but that relationship really did not work at all. And I'm not sure. Maybe it could be something trending towards that way, but I could see him do it because obviously you don't have a weapon. You traded Cooper, so Antonio Brown to them, I would like that. I would give Carr a good weapon. I'm fine. The Raiders do it.
Definitely, but the issue is he was a cancer in the locker room for the Steelers last year. How is he going to be in the locker room this year for a team like the Redskins, a team like the Titans, and a team like the Raiders? A lot of teams have been passing on Antonio Brown because of that.
I don't feel like Gruden would put up with that. I think Gruden seems like that guy that would probably sit you down and say,
Antonio Brown on the Raiders, give me that for Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, I think Gruden sits down with him and probably says, look, this is, we're not dealing with that stuff that you did in Pittsburgh. You come out here and, you play and just...
The last team he should go to is the Redskins. that team's a mess as it is, and then you add him. Obviously, he's uber talented, but with him, it just like kind of the cancer in that the pain in the locker room. If he went to the Redskins, that is just spelling bad for everyone. I would not do that. Yeah. Last team I'd want to go to for him to go to if I'm a Redskins fan is us because that's not going to work out for anyone.
No, not at all. So we look at the free agency class, and it's pretty much littered with safeties and linebackers. You got Earl Thomas, Eric Weddle, Landon Collins. You got Clinton Dix, LaMarcus Joyner, Adrian Amos. And then you look at the linebackers. You got C.J. Mosley, Anthony Barr. No, I forgot about Tyrann Mathieu for safety, so you got him too. You got, for linebackers, you got C.J. Mosley, Anthony Barr, Jordan Hicks. Those are 3 really, really good linebackers there. And you got some decent linebackers too, like K.J. Wright, and you saw Jamie Collins was released too. Even though he's not that good anymore, he got released by the Browns too.
Patriots avoid at all costs.
Absolutely, without question. But we'll talk first about the quarterback in free agency, who pretty much has found his team, and it looks like Nick Foles is going to be going to the Jaguars. And yeah, you look at the Jaguars; they have no cap space, so they're going to have to cut Blake Bortles. Now, Blake Bortles his cap number is $21 million against the cap for the Jaguars this year. But if the Jaguars release him, which I think they're going to do, it will cost the Jaguars $16.5 million against the cap. So they're going to have to make some cuts, and I've heard rumors they're going to cut Malik Jackson and they're going to cut Carlos Hyde. And if they cut Malik Jackson, it'll save them $11 million. against their cap because he's due to earn $15 million this year, but if they cut him, it's $4 million in dead cap money for the Jags, and then if they cut Carlos Hyde, that's $4.7 million, and there's no dead cap money. So if you get rid of those two players, you're freeing up about $15 million in cap space. You're freeing up about $15 million in cap space, and if you get rid of Bortles, you're freeing up pretty much another $4.5 million. So that's almost about $19 to $20 million to be able to sign Nick Foles. I think if this contract is going to be backloaded because of Jacksonville has the lowest cap space in the NFL, so I think it's going to be a backloaded contract for the Jaguars.
Yeah, I think it will, and I think Nick Foles would do very well in Jacksonville. Now you need to get him some wide receivers. Fournette could stay healthy would help out. But yeah, it'd be a very good move for him. And Blake Bortles, I can't believe he did $21 million. But that contract extension they gave him after 2 seasons ago after the AFC Championship game. But kind of crazy. But
yeah, and Nick Foles would be a good pickup. I mean, they have, I feel like some good 2s and some good 3s at wide receiver. But yeah, then if they got a solid number 1 wide receiver, along with those, like Westbrook, Marquise Lee, DJ Chark, and then they have Austin Seferian-Jenkins at tight end with Fournette at running back. I'm kind of liking that offense. Obviously, we all know what the defense is. Defense is Jags defense. That's definitely talented, but maybe Jalen Ramsey might not want to punch Nick Foles out. Hopefully, because I feel like after every game he wanted to do that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see about that. I mean, we'll see there. But I think he definitely improves Jacksonville. I think, and people forget about Jacksonville is they lost 3 of their best offensive linemen last year. I mean, Cam Robinson only played 2 games. He got hurt. I think he got hurt against the Patriots.
Probably.
Brandon Linder only played half the season. He got hurt. And then Andrew Norwell only played, who was their big free agent guard they signed last year, only played 11 games. So I think their offensive line will be better next year. The issue is, yes, they have the running game in Fournette, but the issue is going to be is their skill position players, especially wide receivers and tight ends. That's going to be their biggest issue because Nick Foles had better skill guys. He had Zach Ertz. He had Alshon Jeffrey in Philadelphia. He's not going to have those kind of guys here. So I still think they'll be better than 5-11 because of how good their defense is, but I still think it's an 8-8, 9-17 with Nick Foles.
Yeah, with the AFC South trending up too, with the Colts looking very good, the Texans getting a line. Yeah, they may finish third in the division, but if they're able to get if they're able to get another wide receiver, I could maybe see them winning 10 games, and really competing for that AFC South title. But yeah, I think they really need another guy to actually win that division because that's starting to trend up as one of the toughest divisions.
Yeah, I mean, with Nick Foles, you just get into the playoffs, so it seems like there's some kind of magic. You get him along with that Jacksonville defense. I mean, let's just say they end up sneaking into the playoffs. I mean, that'd be a team I would not want to face.
No, absolutely not. Because what Nick Foles can do as a Pats fans. You know exactly what Nick Foles can do.
I don't understand how he does it because he's kind of like an above average quarterback and
he's a good quarterback.
And then it comes into the playoffs and it's just it works. I don't understand that.
He's a good quarterback. He plays well under pressure. He's definitely gotten better over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, he just he doesn't shrink under the pressure. Kind of has in a way, kind of like how Joe Flacco did in the playoffs, just that Joe Cool mentality, and it's just he's not fazed by it. I mean, hey, won himself a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So we'll look at some of the notable free agents out there, and one of them is Le'Veon Bell, who sat the whole season out last year and apparently has gained weight, and this could have teams lose interest in him, but we all see, just as the Raiders are on Antonio Brown, it looks like they're going to be on Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, definitely, and he's saying he wants $25 million a year, $20 million, and he wants to be up at 50 by his second year. He wants $50 million, which is crazy for not playing all last year. And if he is gaining weight, I'd be a little bit cautious. If I'm a team wanting to sign him, I don't know if I give him the $20-25 million just with his attitude too. And if he doesn't want to, I know when he signs somewhere, he's definitely gonna play there. But not playing for a year, how much rust he's gonna have. It would concern me as a GM. Yeah,
no matter how much cap space I have, let's say a team like the Colts, and he could definitely use that star running back. If he wants $20-25 million, I'll be like, leave. We're that's not even a talking point because obviously the dude's talented, but he didn't play for a year. The rust factor, if he is gaining weight, how much is that going to affect him? Is he going to lose his his speed and his shiftiness, which is a very, very big part of his game? But I don't know. I understand why he did it because the running back, and he said when he sat out of Pittsburgh because running backs don't get paid nearly as much, and they need to earn their money. But $20-25 million a year, no. That the only person I'm probably paying that is a quarterback. But in Le'Veon Bell, it's not happening.
No, especially for a running back who sat out the year and very easily might not be the same player as he was in 2017 or from 2014 to 2017. So why would you want to spend that kind of money? You don't spend more than $15 million. If you spend more than $50 million, you're crazy on Le'Veon Bell per year. Yeah. You're absolutely crazy. So we'll look at some other free agents. Earl Thomas. I mean, this guy is probably one of the best safeties of our generation. He's going to become a free agent, but I've already read a story. The Cowboys are out on him. He's coming off two injuries. He's missed 19 games, 19 regular season games over the last 3 years, and not counting the three playoff games the Seahawks are in. That's 22 games over the last 3 years. Do you want to give him $13-14 million a year? That's hard because you see the talent you see on the field. He's still one of the top safeties in football. Before you saw him, I saw him play against Dallas this year. One of the best safeties in the game. He's probably right now. I think he's still the best safety in the game. But coming off these 2 injuries, and one of them's a knee injury, could affect his speed. He's one of the best center fielders in the game in terms of a free safety. Do you really want to give him a big contract? That's going to be very interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, that's another tough call. And there's so many great safeties in the free agent market. It's like
I wouldn't say good. I wouldn't say great. They don't get to free agency because they're great. I'd say good.
Yeah, good. Because there's like so much depth with Tyrann Mathieu, Eric Weddle. There's so many. There's a lot of good ones. And can you get somebody? I know. He's still the best in the game, but would you rather? It's a tough call. Do you want Thomas or do you want like a younger Tyrann Mathieu? It's tough, and can he stay healthy, and how healthy is he right now? And I think it's a big question. I probably would, because he's got a Super Bowl. He's been a couple of Super Bowls. I feel like it puts him above the rest of them right now. So I feel like for the Cowboys, yes, because you want to get there, and you got the playoffs this year. He'd be a big haul for that. So. How much is like how much money he wants it's the tough part, but
If I'm wanting to sign Earl Thomas, I'm going to talk to him. And first, you actually got to see how healthy is he. But even if there is some question, if I'm a GM, I'd try to talk to him and be like, listen, we'll give you good money on a one-term deal or a 1-year deal, but just prove it to us, and then we'll pay you, because you don't want to give him a 3-4 year deal. Then he gets hurt after 1 year, and then he's a shell himself, or who knows, maybe he just doesn't play anymore. But if I'm a GM, I try to talk to him and be like, listen, 1-year deal, we'll give you good money for 1 year, and then if you just prove to us that you'll stay healthy, and then we'll give you that long-term deal. I feel like, to me, that's the way to go if you're a GM.
I got news for you. He's not taking a 1 year.
Oh yeah, he won't.
There's no way Earl Thomas is taking a 1 year deal.
He wants that money.
No way. He still thinks he's the best safety in football, and there's no way he's taking a 1 year deal. So we look at some of the guys who we thought should have been tagged, who didn't get tagged, and we'll start with C.J. Mosley, who has had over 100 tackles in 4 of his 5 years with the Ravens. He's a four-time Pro Bowler, 2-time second-team All-Pro. I mean, he's led his team in tackles 4 out of the 5 years he's been with the Ravens. I mean, it's kind of a little mind-boggling for me why they didn't franchise him. It's not like they have a quarterback. They're really gonna have to. Yes, they're still gonna have to pay Flacco's cap hit this year for trading him, but for part of Flacco, there's some dead money that they still get that goes against their cap for Joe Flacco. But still, I mean, you got a young quarterback. Don't you want to build a defense around him? And C.J. Mosley was arguably in the last 4 to 5 years their best defensive player. Yes, he's an inside linebacker, but he's their best defensive player. And I'm confused why they didn't want. Maybe they do want to sign him to a long-term deal, and I'm confused why they didn't give him the franchise tag. That's something I'm a little bit confused about. But we'll end up seeing if they sign him to a long-term deal. But definitely, this is the best linebacker on the market.
Yeah, definitely. And and what you're saying, there's not really anybody in the Ravens right now that they really have to give a big contract to. So, I would hope that they're signing a long-term deal, because if Young, they're probably losing Eric Weddle too. So there goes 2 of your top defensive players from a defense that was really good, and it looked like Ravens team with Ray Lewis and Eric Reed.
I mean, dude. They were not Ray Lewis or Ed Reed.
Not that good, but the last couple of years they haven't been as good as they were. So, we'll see. And their D's probably, we don't know what Lamar Jackson will be able to do now with a full year under center. So, I would hope that maybe he goes back to him. But, they find a long-term deal. But, find out.
I feel like the identity of the Ravens has always been defense. And even though he's not as good as Ray Lewis, definitely. But C. Mosley, to me, when you say the Ravens, I think defense. When I think Ravens defense, I think C.J. Mosley. To me, you can't lose the identity of your team, which is C.J. Mosley. So, again, pay that man and get him back ASAP.
Yes, I definitely agree there. We'll talk about some of our teams, and we'll start with Landon Collins of the Giants, who did not. I thought was going to get franchise tag, did not end up getting franchised, and now he's a free agent. It looks like he's not. It looks like he's not going to be back with the Giants. I mean, he is a great tackler, but his issues in coverage, and I think that's a big reason the Giants are not going to give him a long-term contract. He's a good safety, not a great safety, but he's led the Giants in tackle the last 4 years, and if you want somebody who could really help your run defense, Landon Collins can definitely do that.
Yeah, and you guys, there's some pieces that you guys have to fix in your defense too. So I feel like he's one that, if he gets better coverage, he'd be really, really good for you guys. So I felt like you guys probably should have franchise tagged him. I know why, with the coverage issues, but I feel like he could be, if he really learns how to be be better in coverage, he could be a really, really good safety and great safety. So I'm interested to see where he goes and how much he gets. But yeah.
Yeah, I would have just franchised. To me, you can't let that guy, even if you haven't franchised, you have to franchise him because you need to keep that talent around. Because I'm pretty sure they're going to draft a quarterback this year. As long as dominoes fall in the right spots for them. But if you're the Giants, you just need to keep Landon Collins. The dude is talented. The dude's fast. The dude can hit. In coverage issues, yes, he's not a perfect safety, but how many perfect safeties are there? All the safeties have some kind of part of their game that's not to the highest standard like they would love. But
yeah, but today you got to be able to cover, and like a Jamal Adams, like a Derwin James, you got to be able to cover, and you got to be able to stop the run. That's it, because in this NFL, you got to be able to cover. Linebackers, safeties have to be able to cover in this NFL. This isn't 1995. You got to be able to cover now.
Yeah, but I just feel like though with whatever their backup is, it's just not nearly as good as Landon Collins. So
not even close to as good. Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe there's just something like behind the scenes. Maybe it's like it's not working. It's just weird because I just don't see why you wouldn't at least franchise tag the guy. At least have him play for one more year. I mean, what is it going to hurt you? Have him play for one more year.
I know, yeah, it really doesn't hurt you that much to just franchise him, but the way Gettleman is, he doesn't want to deal with the drama where, all right, is Landon Collins going to show up or not if he doesn't get a long-term deal? I think Gettleman just wanted to get rid of him and not deal with it anymore. It's just going to be interesting to see what the Giants do now with Olivier Vernon. Are they going to end up cutting him, save that 11, because his cap hit is $19 million. Do they save that $11.5 million in cap space? Do they end up cutting him, or do they end up keeping him because they're really in free agency? It doesn't look like they're going to get that much better on the defensive line, and it looks like if Dwayne Haskins out there, they're going to draft Dwayne Haskins with the number 6 pick. You just keep him for this year, or just cut him. But you just lost Landon Collins, and you lose Olivier Vernon. That's two of your best defensive players from last season.
Yeah, I think you would have to. You guys want to get better defensively. I feel like if you just get rid of two of your top players, you're not going to get any better. Cause, I feel like you guys get better defensively, get a couple more pieces. Pass rushers and offensive line. Giants could be a good football team, but you lose two of your top defenders, and I feel like your defense is going backwards. Yeah, it's gonna go back. It's gonna be worse.
I mean, if you guys, if they end up releasing Vernon, and then obviously they don't re-sign Collins, I mean, you're right there. You're admitting to your whole fan base we're in a full-on rebuild. Yeah. Now, I mean, not saying like that's a worse thing for them, but you're full-on admitting that like, listen, we're gonna draft a rookie quarterback. We're gonna try to build around him, build a young squad. But I don't know. It's to me. It's just not the. It's not. It's a great thing. I mean, Olivier Vernon's no scrub. Dude's pretty good.
Gets pressure, but he has trouble getting sacks.
Yeah, but it's just. To me, it's weird. I wouldn't cut Vernon. I would keep him because you need pass rusher. But I don't know. I don't get it as a Pats fan for the Giants.
Yeah. So we'll talk about a Patriots player who did not get franchised, and that's Trey Flowers. Who, if you're not a Pats fan, I don't think you know how valuable Trey Flowers is. He is a really, really good player. Even though he doesn't get a lot of sacks, he's good against the run, and he gets pressure. And remember the games he missed. He got hurt in the Jacksonville game, and he missed the Detroit game. And what were those 2 games for the Patriots? Losses. He comes back. You saw their defense against Miami. He was really, really good. So I thought the Pats. It's $17 million, and only had 7.5 sacks last year, but still, this is a guy that is probably, outside of Stephon Gilmore, the best player on that defense.
Yeah, definitely. And you saw, what Jacksonville did to him, Blake Bortles tore him up, and then the Lions ran all over the Patriots that night without Flowers. So I really think, I was hoping they were going to franchise tag him. I hope that they do re-sign him, because they need desperately a pass rusher, because there's nobody else that really gets any pass rush
with any consistency.
Yeah, like I know in the playoffs, the linebackers, did pretty well at that.
Because Belichick is bringing blitzes, that's why.
Yeah, that's what with the blitz. But that, I don't know if they don't usually really do that too much in the regular season that much. So we'll find out. But I'm hoping they do re-sign him, because we'll need one desperately.
Yeah, I mean, he played big in the Super Bowl, and he even think about when the Super Bowl they had against the Falcons, and they had that comeback. He had arguably one of the most important plays of that whole game when he sacked Matt Ryan on that final drive when they easily could have kicked the field goal and the game would have been over. But so he's been an important player. He doesn't get the sack numbers, but he gets the pressures. The dude, to me, he's a very good clutch player. And like you said, other than Stephon Gilmore, probably the most important player on that team. So, and he's the only consistent pass rusher, that's even on that team. So to me, it's like, why wouldn't you pay him? Obviously, this draft is deep in terms of pass rushers, but if you get one of them, okay, you have one of them. Why not get one of them in the draft and then have Trey Flowers, and now you have 2? That to me, last time I thought about this, 2's better than 1. Last time I checked, so. I mean, I just don't understand. Unless someone offers him some just insane contract, which is very well possible because a lot of the top pass rushers were franchise tagged, so he's only the real big name one that's left. So I don't know. To me, and especially if he ends up going to a team like the Dolphins, where his defensive coordinator Brian Flores now the head coach. To me, you can't lose him to Miami because that's just gonna hurt. You need to keep him away from Miami.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, that would really hurt if he goes. Even though Miami still wouldn't beat you.
Extra little, salt in the wound.
Yeah, even though Miami still wouldn't beat you, that would hurt to lose him to the Dolphins.
Well, to beat us in Miami.
Yeah, like they always do.
They always do.
Like they always do. So we'll look at another pretty good player, and that's Anthony Barr, 4-time Pro Bowler. He's going to be a free agent, and I just don't think the Vikings are going to re-sign him because you look at Kirk Cousins' contract is way too much. His cap hit is $29 million. Yeah. You look at they're already trying to trade Everson Griffin to save some cap space there too. I just think Anthony Barr is a good player, not a great player, and he's probably going to be out there on the free agent market. He won't be signed by the Vikings. You can count on that.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. They're trading Griffin. Another contract that Cousins getting $29 million is kind of insane, that cap hit, but it is what it is. And their D was really good last year. It's not going to be. It's in they're another team that's probably going to take a step back defensively.
Yeah. What I don't understand with Anthony Barr is the fact that I believe he's 6'5", so obviously he has length. The dude's pretty fast, so he should be able to be one of the best linebackers in coverage in the whole NFL. And it's the talent and the physical ability just doesn't match up with production. So obviously there's some kind of disconnect. You need a coach that could, show him kind of technique and the ropes of it. Because if he could do that and get down that pass coverage, like I said, one of the best coverage linebackers in the whole league. So someone's just going to take a shot on him, and you probably give him a pretty sizable contract just because of that pure physical ability.
Oh, definitely. I think he's going to make $12-13 million a year. Now, not Luke Kuechly or Bobby Wagner money, but I think he's going to make $11-12 million a year. I definitely can see that from a team maybe the Rams who just gave up Mark Barron that needs a linebacker. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe there. Yep. So we'll talk about 2 players who used to be really good players in the league, but aren't the players they used to be, and they'll be free agents. Start with Ndamukong Suh, who played his best football in the postseason. He was probably the Rams' best defensive player. I mean, even outside of Aaron Donald, even with Aaron Donald being there, he might have arguably been the Rams' best defensive player in the postseason. And he's probably going to be a free agent. The issue why the Rams didn't re-sign him was because he did not have a great regular season. He kind of turned it on in the playoffs. Now, teams, if they're going to pay him a lot of money, like you got in Miami. They want consistent production, not him just to not be that good not be that great in the regular season and just completely take off in the postseason. They want consistent production. That's why I think Sue is a free agent again.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like if he did that, the way he played in the playoffs all year, I feel like it would have been a no-brainer for the Rams. They probably would have resigned him. Now he probably would have won a ton of money, but we could figure that out later. But if he can play that good consistently, I'd give him, whatever.
Probably top dollar.
I'd give him what he wants. Pretty much what he wants, as long as it's somewhat reasonable.
Yeah, if you want like nastiness on your D-line, you want strength, you want a guy that has, take no prisoners attitude. I mean, Ndamukong Suh's, man, that guy's one of the strongest players I think I've ever seen in the NFL, period. And he's like I would say probably average to above average against the pass, but against the run, I mean, that guy is.
He used to be great against both.
Yeah.
Remember in Detroit, he used to be great against both in Detroit.
Against Detroit, he was scary.
In Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, but now like his just pure strength. I mean, obviously someone's going to give him something, because someone with that kind of talent, he's not just going to sit out there for forever. But I don't know if he had that, because he finally showed up in the postseason. He literally was, I felt like, MIA the whole regular season, and then all of a sudden it was, postseason comes up and it's like, oh, Ndamukong Suh spotting. He's finally, we see him. Aaron Donald finally getting some help on that D line, but yeah, I mean, he's going to get a sizable chunk.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely should. We'll talk about another player, Tyrann Mathieu, who's a free agent again, and he just isn't the same player as he used to be. He had a decent year with the Texans, not a great year. I think he'll get like a 2 to 3 year deal, not a ton of money, maybe $9 to $10 million a year. That's what I'm thinking for him.
Yeah, probably, and I think maybe he's one of those guys that waits to see what maybe Earl does, what he gets from money, or
Landon Collins or Weddle, yeah.
Yeah, because there's so many of them there, so maybe he's kind of waits back a little bit if nobody really goes for him hard. But I think he could really help out somebody for a safety spot. He could be very productive. He played very well in Arizona. I know he had didn't not as well this year in Houston, but I think he's still a really good safety, and he could help out somebody that needs it.
Yeah. I mean, now he's very versatile because he can play at the free safety spot. He's very, very good in the slot corner. As a slot corner, he can blitz off the slot corner. And there's always something. It seems like he's always around the ball. He's always trying to strip the ball and tackle. So he's definitely talented. And he's someone's gonna give him a contract. Like I kind of agree with what you said, that you give him probably like a 2-3 year deal, about $9-10 million a year. I could see a lot of teams offering him that.
Oh, definitely. And we're going to wrap up the show talking about Jordan Hicks, who's also a free agent, an underrated linebacker. Missed some time with the Eagles last year. Really, really good in coverage, though. I mean, he's definitely one of their better defensive players. He was actually out during their Super Bowl run in 2017, but he's a pretty good defensive player. I don't know if the Eagles are going to re-sign him because they're committed to paying Carson Wentz long term. They've extended Brandon Graham and Jason Kelce. So I don't think there's a good chance the Eagles won't re-sign him. And I think he might make I think he'll make around what Anthony Barr makes, maybe $10-11 million a year. A team might sign him. Very good coverage linebacker.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, around $10 million. Somewhere around there. Yeah, and with having to pay Wentz and extending Graham, it's extending all these guys. I feel like they're probably gonna have to. I don't know how much cap space the Eagles have left, but it would be, I think it'd be a tough loss to the Eagles for a defense that struggled at times last year. I know their secondary was very banged up, but he'd be tough. But I feel like for somebody that needs a linebacker, it would be a good pickup for him.
Yeah, I feel like he'll be kind of one of those underrated free agents. People are gonna be like, okay, Jordan Hicks, but I feel like he's definitely like talented. And whoever gets him, I feel like you'll probably get him for. I feel like you can get him for a steal, because I don't feel like a lot of teams are gonna offer him a lot of money. So, and he's definitely talented. So, if you need a linebacker, I get Hicks ASAP.
Yes, that would be a good move for anybody to get Jordan Hicks. So we are going to move to the NBA, and LeBron James passed Michael Jordan to be fourth on the all-time scoring list last night. But the problem is the Lakers will not make the playoffs. That team looks absolutely terrible. They're playing no defense. There really isn't much leadership on that team. You saw Rondo just sitting alone last night, and we got to start thinking LeBron James might not be that same player. I mean, for the last, I'd say 8-9 years, we probably thought LeBron was definitely the best player in the NBA. Now I think the gap is closing between Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and James Harden.
Big time, and they're 5.5 now back. It just, I know now Kuzma's been banged up. He hasn't played, Ingram was on the floor. I think he's banged up too now, I heard. So, yeah, they're banged up. But, again, it seemed like after this talk between them and the Pelicans, I feel like, with them offering Ingram, Ball, Kuzma, and all that, I feel like it's like
destroyed the team.
Yeah, and I feel like usually you kind of look at LeBron, you're playing with LeBron and you make a mistake and you look at him go, but I feel like they don't really care what LeBron says because it's like he doesn't care. He doesn't want to play with me. He wants to play with Anthony Davis. So I kind of feel like that kind of just went off the rails.
Yeah, before he got hurt, the team was actually doing, pretty good. And then he got hurt, with his groin pull. And then with Anthony Davis talks, this team the bottom just dropped out of this team because no one. If you're a young player and before that you've always been like Colin, been like, oh, everyone wants you. Now all of a sudden, one of the best player, if not the best player in the world, says, oh, I want you traded. I want him gone. How are you going to respond to that? They're young kids at this point. So I'm not surprised that this is how, this is what occurred after this whole Anthony Davis trade talks. But, you see them kind of trying to walk it back, which it's like, come on. We all know you want Anthony Davis. There's a reason he's with Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, and one of his best friends. It's not just to, hang out, and get a bite to eat. Obviously you kind of want him to work him to the Lakers. I don't blame him because obviously the guy's talented. But, LeBron, the agent Rich Paul in this whole Anthony Davis thing, I feel like it ruined the Lakers this year.
Absolutely. And they're not going to make the playoffs. And Justin's team, who lost to Kyle's team last night, looks like they're going to be slipping out of the playoff race too.
I blame Skip Bayless for saying that taking over the Lakers. I blame him, but
it looks like the Clippers are going to make it.
Yeah, we're 4 back now. So, and without Bagley's really helped out the bench. He plays over 30 minutes. He's averaged like 22 and 12. Hopefully he comes back soon. I hear maybe in like a week or so. So he's been a bigger loss than I think we would have. But look, I'm happy the way we've played this year. I think people thought we were gonna be the first overall pick or
I was hoping to get that draft pick for the Celtics.
But it's a tough loss, and I felt like maybe we could beat the Celtics last night after they just drummed the Warriors by 30. So I felt like maybe they won't show up to play tonight after they just beat the Warriors by 30. But they look better without Kyrie.
Yeah, it's to me. If you're, if I'm listening to you as a Kings fan, I would just be. Even though you might not make the playoffs, I'd just be happy because this team's showing improvement.
Yeah.
This whole team. It's kind of. Not kind of. It is a young squad, and like you said, people were expecting them to be, pretty bad. And the fact that showing this level of improvement, and you finally a step towards the right direction. If I'm if I was a Kings fan. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I don't know the last time we've been this positive.
And was Bagley's injury similar to Zion's?
Sprained knee, yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, not the same way, but
he busted out of his shoe.
Yeah,
but I would like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Darren Fox is so fast.
I know.
I was watching a game. It's like,
and he plays in control too. Yeah, he's really in control. He's not sloppy with it. He doesn't throw the ball away. He does it once in a while, but it's not a ton. I think he should have won Most Improved Player of the Year.
And Buddy Hield, that shot he made when they were down, I think it was 104 to 100. That shot he made, that was a deep three.
Yeah, that was. He's improved his.
Yeah, just from the top of the arc, just drained it. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Just swish.
Yeah.
And then stepping up and make those 3 big free throws to tie the game, with that pressure.
Yeah.
That dude's good.
Yeah. I like to see him.
Absolutely. So we'll talk a little bit about Luis Severino, and he was scratched from Tuesday's spring training start against the Braves with shoulder discomfort, and he's supposed to be out for 2 weeks, but Aaron Boone does not think he's ready for opening day. Now, the concern for the Yankees is do they have to add another starting pitcher? I heard rumors they might be thinking about trading Gio Gonzalez. I don't think they're going to Dallas Keuchel. I don't know if they're going to sign Dallas Keuchel. I don't think they're going to sign Dallas Keuchel. So they might think about. I meant re-signing. I meant signing Gio Gonzalez. So they might sign Gio Gonzalez, which would add depth to that rotation.
Yeah, and I heard CC may not be. Boone said he may start an injury list too after his heart surgery and knee surgery. So they may be down 2 starters. So I know I've heard talks to in-house, which I could see. It wouldn't be a worst case scenario to try to maybe go outside Gio or Dallas. I'd rather maybe have Dallas Keuchel than Gio, but either or. But keeping it high because we do have rotation depth with German, Loizica, Adams. We do have some depth down there.
Bring back Luis Sessa.
I didn't even want to mention his name.
Not around Joe Aguirre.
Get his 10 chance probably of his career. Yeah, but I don't know, with Severino, it's just like it bums you out just because you want him. You want him to be there because the team has so much talent. It's just so much promise that you could very easily win the World Series, and you don't want the shoulder discomfort to turn into a torn rotator cuff down the road, or just be a chronic thing that's gonna maybe slowly dwindle down his talent faster than just regular playing would do. But and then with CC, I'm just like, when did that happen? All of a sudden, I saw something about that, and I'm like, this is news to me, because I felt like you would have heard about it. And then all of a sudden it's like, surprise, CC. And it's like, you just want him. You don't want him to get healthy, because he's I think other than Aaron Judge, he's probably the heart of that team. Because everyone loves CC. You saw what he did last year when he could have, had that, I believe it was a $500,000 bonus for pitching a certain amount of innings. And he was like 1 or 2 away, and he just drills the guy. Yeah. And he's like, right then and there, it shows you he doesn't care about the money. It's protect his teammates. And I don't know, especially with that, especially with it being a heart issue, you got to make sure that it's right. Yeah. If anyone, just sit him out. You got to make sure it's right, because you don't want to mess with the heart. That's no bueno for anyone.
Yeah. Exactly. So we're going to wrap the show talking a little bit of college basketball, and we'll talk about UConn. And tonight is senior night at Gamble against Temple, who's fighting for a spot in the NCAA tournament. And I think that with them, no Jalen Adams on senior night, with Temple fighting for a spot, I think Temple wins this game, and I think UConn beats ECU, ends their season 15-16, and ends Dan Hurley's first year 15-16.
Yeah. The weird thing is, I'm not really getting is how UConn's still a 2.5 point favorite without Jalen. I'm kind of a little bit. That's one of those weird lines. Yeah, it's, like Vegas knows something we don't right now. But look, Sunday they survived in South Florida. I felt like with Ray Allen there, I felt like guys were maybe a little bit too tight. I felt like at times they were 0 for 50. Like, they didn't play very well. South Florida is a very improved team. They're not the basement dwellers anymore. But I feel like I take 15 or 16 for missing a month with Jalen. Gilbert was out for a couple of weeks. So, yeah, I know it's not what everyone expected, but I feel like this team's improved. And under Otto, I hate to throw Ollie under the bus, but again, they didn't really improve under Ollie any year. I never really saw much improvement. So I feel like they improved, though, this year. So that's what I like, especially Josh Carlton. I really love what I'm seeing with Josh Carlton. So I do like the improvement, and I feel like next year with the recruiting class he has coming in, I feel like they can get to the tournament. I feel like they'll be in the tournament next year. I feel like this is the last year we have to worry about this. And Adams, unless they win the conference tournament, Adams will be the first UConn player to be, since Tate George in 1990, they'll be the first UConn player not to play all 4 years at UConn but only make one tournament appearance. So.
But with Hurley, he has that energy that you could tell it's just like infectious, and you want him. If I'm a college player, and obviously if I'm not one of the a top player, I mean, if you're a top player, still come to UConn. I'd love to see you there. Like Zion, if you want to come to UConn, hey, I would have loved it. But Hurley just has that that infectious spirit that you want to play for him as a college player. That's stuff that works on the college level. That infectious kind of like rah mentality. And I don't know if they're trending right. Not a great season, obviously, but is it the worst thing? No. And I feel like they're trending the right way. And you could definitely going to see some improvement next year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll go over the slate of games this weekend in college basketball. We'll talk about a game tonight. Cincinnati heads to UCF to play Central Florida, and I think Central Florida wins this game. Taco played better last game, and I think that UCF's talent is starting to show up. They're right now. They look like they're secured to get a berth in the NCAA tournament. So is Cincinnati. I think Central Florida wins this game close.
Yeah, if you love a hard-nosed, like March. One of those tight games where it's going to be a bloodbath in the paint. This is a game to watch. You're not going to see a lot of scoring. This game's going to be in the 60s. I do think UCF's going to win this one at home. It was a great game the first time. It was very back and forth. It looks like Cincinnati was going to take over, then UCF came back. Very back and forth. It was a great game. BJ Taylor, Aubrey Dawkins. One shot for UCF. They may be an 8 or 9 seed, I think, in the tournament, so I don't know if they'll be able to be a 1 seed. But they could give somebody a game. They have one of the top defenses in the country. This is a very good team. Cincinnati as well. Cincinnati usually in the second weekend, but this should be a good team. Keep your eye out for UCF.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of picking UCF because they both average. I mean, Cincinnati averages 72.3 points per game. UCF is 73.6, and then on defense, UCF gives up 64, and Cincinnati gives up 61.3. But I feel like at home, I feel like they're kind of close teams. So I'm going to give it to the home team and give it to UCF.
Yeah, it should be a really good game between those two teams. Our next game we'll talk about is we got Tennessee going to Auburn on Saturday, and Auburn has been playing as well. They beat Alabama the other night. They haven't been playing as well as they were last year. And Tennessee, they had that huge win against Kentucky the other day. They've been playing really, really well.
They look really, really good. Tennessee last week against Kentucky, but not having Travis Reed helped that big time for Tennessee. But Auburn always plays tough at home. They're much better at the home than they are on the road. They average like 78 points at home, something like that. And then on the road they average like 63, something like that. It's totally different team, home and road, just like Kansas. But I feel Auburn only lost Kentucky by 2 at home. I feel like Auburn to be able to keep it close. It's Bruce Pearl's former team, Tennessee. So I feel like Auburn to be able to keep it close, their guards will really have to play well. And I feel like down low they're going to struggle with Grant Williams though. With no Austin Wiley, so I feel like they'll keep it. Auburn will be able to keep it close, but I think Tennessee will pull it out.
Yeah, I feel like that Tennessee's gonna pull it out because they're gonna want to show that they're the number 5 seed for a reason. And with Auburn, obviously Auburn definitely does play better at home, so I could see it, probably being, coming down to about the last minute, probably like a 2-score, 3-score game for Tennessee, and then pulling out the victor.
Yeah, it should be a competitive game between those two teams. We got a big East matchup in New Jersey. We got Villanova, who has not played well on the road at all in conference all year long, heads up to Seton Hall to face a team that had a huge win last night over Marquette to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive. And I think they win again this week. I think they win again on Saturday. I think they start to solidify their spot in the NCAA tournament as like an 11 or a 10 or 11 seed, and I think they beat Villanova this week.
Yeah, they came back on an 18-0 run to win that game, which was crazy. The first time they played out in Nova, they lost by 28, and it was Phil Booth that absolutely killed them. 25 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He killed them. Eric Pasquale down low killed them. He had 17 and 8. So I feel like you control Phil. Phil Booth hasn't played as well. He hasn't been shooting the ball as well for Villanova. That's one of the issues that they've been struggling. They beat Marquette at home last week. It was huge for them. But I think Seton Hall, with Villanova coming in, beating Marquette, I feel like they will lose. I feel like Villanova would be able to pull it out by a point or two. It's gonna be a really close game, though.
Yeah, I think I'll take Villanova just because Villanova's given up scoring 74.6 points and giving up 66.7, and then Seton Hall's given scoring 73.6 and only giving up 71.5. So to me, that's pretty big, difference. So to me, even though they struggled on the road, I'm still gonna take Villanova.
We have an SEC matchup in Florida, down in Lexington, and the Florida Gators head to Lexington. Florida's been struggling, losing to Georgia at home on Saturday. Huge bad loss there, and then they lost to LSU last night in overtime. And Kentucky rebounded off their loss to Tennessee, beating Ole Miss on Tuesday. I think Kentucky wins this game even without Reed Travis. I think they win this game by double digits. Yeah,
I think Kentucky's to be able to take this one. Florida, I feel like they've let 2 games slip from their hands. They didn't play very well against Georgia. I felt like Kentucky, or now playing Kentucky, I feel like for Florida now, you're burnt on they're singing around like a 10, 11 seed I'm seeing. So they're slipping fast right now. I just feel like you're going to Kentucky on senior day. I feel like Kentucky'd be able to get it done. They play, they're a better team at home, and I feel like they will get this game. Tyler Hero's been playing well. P.J. Washington. This is a really good team. John Calipari's done a great job with this team. And they're fighting for that to get that chance to get the 1 seed too. They're probably gonna have to play Tennessee, maybe the SEC tournament one more time. So they're fighting for that 1 seed right now. And I feel like at home, Kentucky's not losing this game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm taking Kentucky. Them being at home, they want it, the 1 seed and playing on the radar. They're not having the traditional shine that a normal Kentucky team has. even though having a 25-5 record, I think any team would take that. So yeah, I'm giving Kentucky, especially on senior night. The seniors are going to want to ball out and show. Give them one. The home crowd probably like one last great game, and I'm giving it to Kentucky.
We have an ACC matchup in Virginia as Louisville has the Virginia to face the Cavaliers, and I think Virginia wins this by at least 10, 15 points. I think Louisville is all about Jordan Nora, and I think Virginia is one of the best teams in the country with DeAndre Hunter and Kyle Guy. I think they win this game by 10, 15 points.
Louisville's been really, really struggling pretty much since beginning of February. They looked like they could be a 4 or 5 seed in the tournament. They've kind of dropped all the way to 7 and 8 seed right now. I don't feel like they're going to be able to go to Virginia and get this win. They blew it last time. Virginia had a 12-point lead at half. They played well that first half. In the second half, they just could not shoot the basketball. I feel like going to Virginia, it ain't happening. And Virginia, I don't know if you guys saw Monday night, absolutely blitzed Syracuse in the second half, held them like 15 points. They were 18 for 25 from 3. So. Woo. If you still don't think Virginia can shoot the basketball,
yeah, that shows you right there.
You're wrong. This is a very good Virginia team, and I feel like they're going to be able to keep that momentum riding. Jordan Nora has been pretty much it for Louisville, and I think you're going to drop another one.
Yeah, and with Virginia only giving up 54.1 to Louisville's 67.6. I mean, that big disparity in defense, and Virginia being one of the best teams in the league, and Louisville kind of leaning on one guy pretty heavy. I mean, I don't even see a way that's going to be close, to be honest. I feel like probably 10, 15 point win for Virginia.
We got the big one in Chapel Hill as Duke faces North Carolina, and we'll see if Zion is back. If he is back, I think Duke wins this game really close, and if he's not back, I think Carolina wins it, and I think Carolina wins it by 10 points. He's not back.
What I heard Tuesday night is it does not sound like he will be. It sounds like they're shooting for the ACC tournament. That was according to Coach K on Tuesday. They still, of course, had a couple days after that, but I feel like North Carolina will win this without Zion. They really did not play well tonight against a very bad Wake Forest team. This team's Wake Forest is not very good. They've struggled all year, and they won by 1, and that ball was halfway down for Wake Forest tonight. They should have lost at home down to Wake Forest. Duke's not playing their best. I feel like it's going to be closer than it was at Cameron. I feel like, but Duke's got to play some zone this time. Luke May absolutely destroyed them in the paint. I also kind of said that the other night for Duke. He had like 10, I think. They're hitting shots. Cam Reddish too he shot 1 for 9. He's got to get it going. He's been very up and down at times. He's got to get going. But I feel like North Carolina at home on a Saturday night, I don't feel like they lose to Duke, especially without Zion Williamson.
Yeah, to me, it's very simple. Zion plays, Duke wins. Zion doesn't play, Duke loses, and they lose big.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. So, Big Ten matchup in East Lansing as Michigan State have their rematch from a game 2 weeks ago, which Michigan State went to Ann Arbor and beat Michigan. So, but I think is a Nick Ward playing?
I have not heard.
You have not heard?
I don't know. I haven't heard yet.
So I think Michigan gets back at them on Michigan State senior night, and I think they upset Michigan State in East Lansing.
Yeah, John Beeline's team are always so good in March. He always has them playing their best ball. I feel like they will win the Big Ten tournament. I feel like they always make a deep run in March. He's a very good tournament coach. I feel like very good March coach. I feel they won't get swept by Michigan State, especially because Michigan loses. I feel like if Michigan can win the Big Ten, I feel like maybe Duke loses again. I feel like Michigan still has maybe a little shot to get that 1 seed. I feel like that would erase all hopes if they lose Saturday. But this is, Michigan's a good team. They're very good defensively. They don't really turn it over. But, my depth has always been a concern for them. Michigan State's been playing well. They have a bunch of guys beat up. They just put up 91 the other night in Nebraska with 3 starters hurt. So, Tom Izzo is a good coach. They always have a great team. So, this should be another great game, but I feel like Michigan will pull this one out very close. I feel be low scoring. I feel it to be more low scoring than the last time. I feel it to be like in the low 70s, high 60s. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up taking Michigan just because we're giving up 58.3 points per game, and Michigan State getting up 66. Obviously, that's a big difference. So I'm just gonna go with the better defensive team. I'm gonna go with Michigan.
So wrap up the show talking about one more game in Houston and Cincinnati, and I think they go to Cincinnati in an AAC matchup on Sunday, and I'm taking Cincy close.
Yeah, I'll take Cincy at home. I'll take Houston, actually. I feel like Bombpack and GCF, they got SMU, and I feel like they will take this one. Calvin Sampson doing a great job with this program. They won it close.
Yeah, I'm going with Houston again. Just they're giving up or scoring 75 and only giving up 60. Cincinnati's scoring 72 and only giving up 61. So I'm going to end up going with Houston.
All right, it's going to wrap it up for Sports Talk with RKJ on Illinois Radio and the Quantum TV networks. We'll be back next week talking a lot of NFL free agency, and we'll be getting ready for Selection Sunday in college basketball. Have a great weekend, everybody.